Hi guys, it's Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and it is another Saturday review. We've got a full-size folder for you today. This is an Enlan EL-10. Regular, good, full-size, full flat grind knife. There's my hand in it. I've got large-size hands, and as you can see, there's a bit of the handle still sticking out on this knife. So that tells you a little bit about what size the handle is. A lot of really good things I like about this knife, and there's a couple negatives. But the end summary will be, I think this knife is a buy, but I'll have to tell you why. So stick around for the full review of the Enlan EL-10. To start off with, let's just say I like this knife. I must say that GearBest right now, I'm recording this on Friday around noon, and they're saying they have about 5 in stock. So if just by looking at the intro and stuff, you think you really like this knife, you might want to go buy one. It is a knife that's under $20. We're talking about $23 Canadian and $17 US to buy this knife from GearBest. They're going to charge you $1 or $2 for shipping if this is the only thing you buy. If you buy several things, the shipping tends to go down or goes away completely. Let's talk some more about the details of this knife before we get into why I like it and what I don't like that much about it. 8CR13 MOV, it's heat treated really well, around 58 Rockwell hardness, really good. I've had a number of Enlan 8CR13 knives with the same heat treat on it. They last very well. They do well, very well for what it is. You got to make sure that you always hear me in the context of what I'm talking about. You can't compare this to a super steel, but for what it is, it holds an edge quite well. It's easy enough to sharpen, and I like it quite a bit. I've used my work sharp and put a convex grind on some of these Enlan knives. It takes those really well and cuts really well with those. This guy's got the original grind. Haven't done anything to it except for use it, and I stropped it once on leather because it's got some age to it. I've had it for 6-8 months, something like that. Full flat grind, a nice little drop point right here. It almost looks like it drops in and has a bit of a dip right there, and then it drops down. And then you've got a nice belly here and a reasonable length, 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches of flat area right there. And then the handle comes back with a really tiny little sharpener's choil right there. I actually like that smaller sharpener's choil like that because what that does is it stops something that you're cutting from getting hung up in that little sharpener's choil. Some knives, when that little sharpener's choil is too deep, you end up having stuff hang on there and catch on while you're cutting. Let's do some cut tests on here. Got some wire here. Zips through that pretty well. Cuts through that quite good. That's a wire from it's a USB cable. All kinds of wire inside there. Here's some paracord. Let's do our 4 layers of paracord test. And see how well it gets through that stuff. Oh, yeah, went through all of it. Not bad. .550 paracord, regulation paracord. Here's some banding. Zips through that really easily. No problem at all. Cuts paper pretty well. Don't have any handy right here. I like this knife. Full flat grind is really, really good. Let's go through the dimensions. What do we got for the thickness of this blade? It's 3.1 millimeters right back here by the thumb studs. That's 0.123 inches. Really close to 1/8 of an inch. The cutting edge from the sharpener's choil here to the tip is 3.5 inches, 8.8 centimeters. The handle is 4 7/8 of an inch, which is 12.5 centimeters. And when you open it up, you've got a knife that is 8¼ inches long, which is 21 centimeters. Thickness of the edge just behind the grind is 0.025 inches, which is 0.65 millimeters. So it's thin enough, delicate enough to be a really good slicer, really good cutter, but it's not so thin that it's going to chip or break easily. You know, every knife steel can chip or break, but or fold, I should say, the edge or whatever. But this is actually quite robust. I really like the specs on everything to do with the blade. The handle thickness. The handle thickness here is just under 0.7 of an inch. So it's 0.68 of an inch or so. That is 1¾ centimeters, 1¾ centimeters. And it's got a nice rounded profile right there. It's a little bit hard to show, but you know, it's a little bit rounded right there, which is nice. And it's got a lot of little cutouts in this G10 to make a tremendous amount of grip. So it's got milled lines that are on sort of a horizontal, on about a 45-degree angle this way. So you can sort of see it by the way these little waves are pointed and stuff. And then they also drilled in some circle, like just little drilled holes as well. You can see some of those dots. I'm going to do a nice close-up or two of this handle for you. And it's super, super grippy without being hot on the G10. So you can grab it and you're going to have a sure grip. If your hand gets wet, slippery, whatever, it's not going to slip on this handle easily at all. You got a really good grip on it. One thing I must say right out before I forget to, there is one hot spot, and that is right along this edge of the handle right there, right where my thumbnail is rubbing. Because when you grab it tight, you're holding it like this, the pocket clip, this is the only place it goes, right side tip down. And when you're grabbing tight and using this knife, it can create a little bit of a hot spot right there on your hand. That's the spot that meets up right at the bottom here. And that's if you're squeezing quite tight. And you can see it's because, you know, it sticks out like 3/16 of an inch from the face of the handle there. So that's one thing to be concerned about. If you are looking for a knife that you're going to be using regularly and using hard for a long period of time, this might not be your choice. If you're just looking for a good EDC to carry, no problem at all. It's just if you're using a knife like, 10 minutes straight that this becomes a little bit of an issue. All my EDC carrying and stuff, not a problem at all. Just fine. Let's do some more details on this handle. We've got a lanyard hole right there, really good for 550 paracord, no problem to get it through there at all. We've got some jimping on the thumb riser of the blade, on the spine of the blade right there. It looks pretty aggressive, but once the blade's deployed, you know, if you look straight down the edge, you can't even see that jimping. It's just the little bit of the fat of your thumb is going to sneak in there a little bit when you're pushing hard, and it'll give you just a little bit of extra traction. Not enough to become hot, just enough to be useful. I like that in there a lot. If they did away with that jimping, it would be a little bit more slippery with your thumb, but not an awful lot. I like that the handle's got a little bit of a swell on the back to help fit in the palm of your hand, not too much. And then you've got this index finger choil here, and then it swells up a bit and then comes back down on the belly side of the handle as well. And it just seems to fit really, really well that way. Simply because of the shape of everything on the handle, just about any grip that I can grip it in, my thumb tends to fit with the crease of my thumb right above that bend there. So if you're holding it this way, it works really well. The old saber grip, it feels really well. Either hand, left or right-handed. Actually, this knife, if you're left-handed, this knife is more comfortable in my left than it is in my right because of that pocket clip issue there. But that being said, you're going to have to want to carry it the way it is as well, because you can't change the pocket clip around. So if you're left-handed and you don't mind right-handed pocket clips, there's a huge plus on this knife for you. There's another big plus here with this flat area up here by the handle. It's not really a sneak up choil, but being flat enough, you can sneak up and have extra grip on the knife without endangering your finger of cutting yourself. And then this dip part in the blade right here on the spine, your thumb goes in there, and now you can do that delicate cutting really, really well. And it gives you a lot of extra purchase and skill, usefulness for your skills to the fine cutting. Let's talk about the pivot for a while. The pivot is smooth. I have not taken this knife apart. I have played with it a bit, and it's become quite smooth. We've got one phosphor bronze, one nylon washer in there, and I can easily take this knife apart if I want to, even though it has a proprietary pivot screw. Some of you guys might have seen that already and said, oh, I don't like that idea, but there's an easy solution for that, and that's one of these. I've even bought 2 of these just in case I lose one because they are so inexpensive. Less than $5 at GearBest. I'll put a link in the description for this as well. Made by Enlan, it's the perfect tool for this pivot, and it locks in there really well, and you can adjust it. And that way you can have your nice pivot screw and still have a nice tool, and you can use it no problem. So yes, that is a negative, but it adds $5 to your collection. I've got about 7 or 8 knives that require this tool. And so for $5, that's nothing at all. No problem. I believe I did mention, maybe I didn't, so I'll go over it now, where the thumb studs are on the blade. Very, very good. It's far enough back that it's not going to catch when you're slicing through things. You can barely have it further back because of the way the handle is shaped. And yet when the knife is in the closed position, you have really easy access to that thumb stud to just sort of flick the knife open with your thumb. It just works really, really well. So I like that thumb stud. I like that it's got a little bit of 3D styling to it instead of just being a stud. Just like the pillars for this open pillar construction, they've got an hourglass shape. And so that helps give them a nice little look to it. If the light is just right, you can see that there's some skeletonization going on in this knife. Not very much. You've got 2 holes right here on either liner, and that doesn't make it lose very much. The whole knife is still 5 ounces, which is 171 grams. So it's not a light knife. This G10 being this thick and rounded helps add some weight as well. It looks good. It feels good. I've done a whole video on tip up, tip down. I don't mind tip down. I don't mind a little bit of knife showing out of my pocket. For those of you who don't want those things, you don't like tip down, well, then this knife isn't for you. Those of you guys who just want ultra deep carry, well, this isn't the knife for you. But the rest of you guys, if you don't mind tip down and you don't mind a little bit of knife showing, there you go. So if you like this video, please click on that thumbs up and hit that like thing. Share this with anybody that you think is looking for, if they're into this black and white G10 kind of look, and they like full flat grinds, let them know about this knife. Please use my links in the description below to buy this knife. If you want to buy this knife, then please use my links. It'll help out the channel an awful lot. GearBest is doing a contest for their associates. If I increase my sales by 30%, I should rephrase that. If 30% more people use my links to buy knives in the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, I'm going to get a big bonus from GearBest, like $200 up to $800 if the sales really go up. So I'm not asking you to buy a knife for me. I'm not asking for pity. I'm just saying if you're going to buy a knife from GearBest or anything else from GearBest, please let me know. Email me at canadiancuttingedge@gmail.com. Send me a link of what you want to buy. I'll send you a link back that has my code in it. You'll still pay the exact same price as you would otherwise, but I'll get a little bit of a benefit out of it. The link for this knife And the link for this tool will be in the description below. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for subscribing. Make sure you hit that bell so that you'll be notified of every video. I've got a giveaway coming up really, really soon that GearBest is doing with me. The biggest prize is going to be a $100 knife. You want a chance to win that. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.